Okay, so good morning, everyone. Again, welcome to our course, okay, mixed signals. So for the uh, first week, the fundamentals of mixed signals and sensors. So for the first week, our topic will be introduction to signal processing. So this is an overview of the whole course for the whole semester. So we will try to touch and learn a little bit of the topics that we will encounter throughout this course. Okay, so for the learning outcomes of this module, by the end of this module, the student is able to, number one, define signal processing and identify its use. Number two, familiarize with the topics to be discussed for the whole course. Okay, so this will be the topics covered: the introduction to signal processing, signal and signal processing, sampling, sampling rate, and sampling theorem, sorry. And then digital filters and frequency response. Okay, so let's start with signal and signal processing. So by definition, a signal is a function of an independent variable, such as time, distance, position, or temperature. So some examples of biomedical signals are, we have electrocardiogram or ECG. So this is the signal coming from the monitoring of our heart or heartbeat. Then electroencephalogram or EEG and magnetoencephalogram or MEG. So EGs or encephalogram usually refer to the monitoring of the brain waves. Okay, so the outputs of these instruments are signals or biomedical signals. It's coming from our body. Okay. Aside from biomedical signals, of course, there's a lot of sample signals out there. We have communication signals or the signals that is coming inside or rather that is being detected by our phones. We have Wi-Fi signals. Even talking is a form of signal. Okay. The signal usually carries information uh, that is being conveyed from the source to the receiver. Okay. So by definition, again, a signal is a function of an independent variable such as time, distance, position, or temperature. So recalling from our mathematics, right? Usually we have the Cartesian coordinate system. The x-axis is what we usually call the independent variable. In this case, it is time. The y-axis is what we usually call the dependent variable or the function. Right? In this example, we have the function of time. So the function or the signal depends on the independent variable. So why did I use Cartesian coordinate plane to define signal? So we will see later in our further examples or further discussion. Okay. So from the mentioned biomedical signals, and here we have electrocardiogram. So this is what we usually see on an ECG. So this is the monitoring of the heartbeat. The peak ones is the peak signals here, or the tall ones are the part in which the heart produces a sound. Okay? Then the flat parts are when the heartbeat is silent. Okay, and then these are the examples of the monitoring of the EGs or the encephalograms. Okay, so this is the different types of brain waves. Then, as I mentioned earlier, another form of biomedical signal, we have the speaking voice. Okay, so this is also a form of biomedical signal. So this is how we usually see our speaking voice on an signal monitoring software or something, or monitor. Okay, so if you're familiar with editing music or editing videos, the audio line on those software usually looks like this, right? So this represents the signal for audio. Okay. Next, a signal is said to be continuous when its domain is the set of real numbers and discrete otherwise. So discrete signals are presented as sequences of numbers called samples. So an analog signal is a real valued continuous signal. Digital signal is discrete in time and value. Okay. To help us understand more, let's go to the Jamboard. The word there is continuous and discrete. So a signal is continuous or discrete. These are two major classifications of signals. The reason why I represented a signal with the Cartesian coordinate plane is, as you've seen from our examples earlier, I'll go back to the presentation. Like this one. Okay. These are actually plotted on a coordinate system or coordinate plane or Cartesian coordinate plane. Like especially this one. We have the x-axis and then the y-axis. So all of these signals can be plotted on the coordinate system. So I'll go back to the Jamboard. Again, then we will be discussing continuous and discrete signals. Okay, when we say continuous, let's have this signal, for example. Okay, so this is a function of time. Let's say we have a sine wave in here. This could represent anything. This could represent her voice or any type of signal. Can be any type of signal, actually. So many types of signals. I am only thinking of voice. So voice, let's take this as voice. Okay. Let's say letter A. When we say this, when we say continuous, for every instance of time, okay, we divide our x-axis into intervals of time. Okay, when we say continuous, on every time interval, whatever time you pick, there will always be a value on the function. That's why it's called continuous, because the function never or is never broken. Okay. The value is just going on and on and on and on. That's why it's called continuous. When we say discrete, usually we find discrete signals on processed signals already. Okay, so we have here a signal which is a function of time again. Okay, so this is how discrete signals usually look like. So this is a processed signal of this one. Okay, then it is divided into intervals of time. The major difference between continuous and discrete signals is, on a discrete signal, you only have certain time periods wherein you will have a value on the function. For example, this one, we have values on this time intervals. But if we will pick, for example, this time interval, okay, we don't have any value. No value. Okay. So that's the difference between continuous and discrete. On continuous, we have value. On all of the time intervals. On discrete, we only have selected time intervals. Okay. Major example of continuous signals are analog signals. Discrete signals, usually processed signals. Okay. So I hope that was a bit clear, if not really clear. So I'll go back to the presentation. Again, if you have questions, just type it in the chat box. We'll answer it later after the basic. Okay. So here we also have other examples. Okay. So on the left one, we have a continuous signal. We have a discrete signal in here, and then we have a digital signal. We will discuss digital, more of digital signal in the next topics. So let's stop it for now. Okay. So next we have signal processing. Signal processing usually refers to signal generation, modifying signals, and extracting information signals. So signal processing benefits from improvements in the areas of electrical engineering, applied mathematics, statistics, mathematical information technology. Okay, so frequency is the number of occurrences of repeating event per unit time. So let's discuss this one. I'll go back to the Jamboard. Again, remember these terms. Signal processing usually refers to signal generation, modifying signals, extracting information signals. Okay. Right. I'll delete this one. If anybody needs a screenshot, please do. So I'll delete this one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we have there signal processing. Here's 2. Signal generation. Signal generation, signal modification, extracting information. Okay. That would be a good example of a signal processing. Let's take a good example. Finish with this one. I'll have let's have modulation. Amplitude modulation. Amplitude modulation is also known as AM, but this is our AM radio signals, right? So amplitude modulation. We process these AM signals by amplitude modulation, then we broadcast the signal, and then the radio will receive the AM signal and then extract the information. So the signal processing goes on that goes through that step. So first we generate the signal, right, which comes from the speaker on our AM radio, and then we modify the signal so we can distribute the signal, and then the radio will receive the signal and then extract the information. So to give you a little bit of an idea on how an AM signal works, okay. For example, let's have a carrier signal in here. Rather than drawing, I'm using mouse. It's kind of not really good. Let's have our carrier signal here. So you have an idea on what is a carrier signal. Okay. Usually in the Philippines, I think the values for AM carrier signal is around 500 to 800 kilohertz. I remember correctly. Okay, I think I'll cheat on this one. No. So yeah, this is 500, around 500 to 800 kilohertz. So yeah, I think I know. Okay. So to give you an idea on what this hertz is all about. Okay. So hertz is the unit of frequency. Hertz by definition, if we go back to the presentation, a little bit. Okay. So frequency is the number of occurrences of a repeating event per unit time. Okay. So an event is repeating. How many times does it repeat per unit time? Okay. I'll go back to the Jamboard. Let's have this, for example. Okay. So again, this is a unit of time. This is a signal. So let's say we have this kind of signal here, 2, 3, 4. Imagine that this is a uniform signal. Okay. And then we have here, this is time in 1 second. Okay. So in 1 second, we made a number of repeating waves. By the way, how do we count sine waves again? So this is we count the number of sine waves on the number of times that it repeated, okay, or it made a complete cycle. Okay. So when we say complete cycle, the wave goes back to the point that it originated from. For example, this one. The sine wave started from this point on the x-axis, then goes down, it goes up again on the x-axis. So this will be 1 count. Okay? This is not yet a 1 count because the direction here is upward. The direction here, when it passed through the x-axis, is still downward. It should be on the same direction. Okay? So upward, downward, upward. 1 count. Upward, downward, upward. Another count. Upward, downward, upward. Upward, downward, upward. Upward, downward, upward. Okay? So how many times did our sine wave repeat? Repeated. So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5 times. Okay? So when we refer to frequencies, this is frequency, again, the number of times repeated. So in this case, we have 5 times over time. 1 second. Anyway, let's go back to the presentation a little bit. Okay. Okay. There's no formula, just a definition. Frequency is the number of occurrences of a repeating event per unit time, per meaning divide. Let's go back to the Jamboard. Okay. So number of times, 5. Unit of time, so what is our time? 1 second. Okay. So this is equal to 5 per second. Okay. And this per second is equivalent to hertz. So this example of ours is a 5 hertz signal. Okay? Okay. So that's for the definition of hertz. Let's go back to our AM, or amplitude modulation. So again, our carrier signal is around 500 to 800 kilohertz. If you're not familiar with AM radio anymore, that's the Bombo Radio, RMN, what else? If you only listen to those two. Okay. So anyway, so that's it for the carrier signal. And then we have here the speaking voice. Speaking voice. Voice signal. Speaking signal. Okay. So this is the voice of the announcer. Usually it is of lower frequency as compared to the carrier signal because the speaking frequency of humans is on average 20 to 2,000 hertz. Okay. Okay. Hertz. So that is the average frequency of voice or human speaking. Okay, so what happens in the amplitude modulation is that we generated a signal. We have a carrier signal, and then we have a voice signal, and then we will modify the signal. Okay, so what amplitude modulation does is it will combine the carrier signal and then the voice signal. So what happens here is we have this one. Okay. And then this one. And then we will envelope the carrier signal on the mirrored human voice signal. Okay. Then this will be the signal that will be transmitted, and this will be the signal that will be received by our radio equipments. Okay. And then when upon entering the radio equipment, so the radio equipment will again extract the information. So it will differentiate the carrier signal from the audio signal, and then will broadcast the audio signal to the listener. So this is an example of a signal processing. Okay. So I hope I have given you an idea of how do we do. This is just one of the processes for signal processing. Okay, so there are a lot of others. So this is just an example, but I hope you have now an idea on what to expect with our course. Anyway, if you want a screenshot, so please do. I'll go back to the presentation in 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go back to the presentation. So next. Anyway, for the radio spectrum. So spectrum. Radio spectrum. Share this one. So these are the examples of our frequencies and their uses. Okay, so we will not really dig deeper into this, but we will just try to see. Okay, so we have extremely low frequencies used on submarines. We have the AM broadcast, which we have discussed earlier, so 300 to 3,000 kilohertz. Oh, okay. But in the Philippines, we are using 500 to 800 kilohertz. Okay. And then we have the FM broadcast, FM radio, television around here, 330 to 300 megahertz. And then aircraft communications, weather radio, etc. Then we have here our mobile phone, so 300 to 3000 megahertz. LAN or Wi-Fi, okay, Bluetooth, etc., etc. And so many applications, right? So let's go back to the presentation. Okay. Signals are usually studied in a time domain or with respect to time, and frequency domain with respect to frequency, and time and frequency domains simultaneously. Okay, so using some time frequency representation. Right. So the examples that we have discussed so far are using time domain, meaning the independent variable or the x-axis is the time. So the function depends on time. For frequency domain and simultaneous time and frequency domain, so we'll discuss this later. Okay. Let's open up. So we have here sampling, sampling rate, and sampling length. So I think we should watch this video. This is a 3, 2, 1. Fourier signal, Fourier signal, discrete Fourier transform, I mean. Okay. And then we have the inverse on the other side. To give you an idea, what is a Fourier transform? Okay. If we have this kind of signal, for example, a signal that is recorded through or that was sampled from the microphone or generated through the microphone. Usually, there are static noises, right? Especially if it is not a good quality microphone, right? And this function is in time domain. What we usually do on the Fourier transform is we transfer, okay? We transfer a signal from time domain to frequency domain. Okay? We recreate it using the frequency domain such that if we have the signal, if we recreate it on a frequency domain, okay, it usually looks like this. So this is the frequencies, the large ones, and then the small, the higher frequencies that is enveloping the signal will be separated, such that we can apply a certain filter. Okay. Call this a filter. A filter that looks like this, okay, so that the signal will now be look like this after applying the filter. So this, from the original signal, this is application of Fourier transform. From the Fourier transform, we apply the filter. So the signal will now look like this. No more noise. Usually these are the static noises. Okay. Then, upon application of the inverse discrete Fourier transform, it will go back to its original form, which will now look like this minus the noise. Okay. So again, original signal, applied a discrete Fourier transform. Fourier transform, by the way, is in frequency domain. So we are not using time domain. So this is a frequency domain, function of a frequency. Then, upon applying inverse Fourier transform, it will go back to its original time domain form. Okay. The idea behind Fourier transform is that we separate the frequencies of the signal, right? Not just by time, but by frequencies. And then we identify which frequency is unwanted. We apply a filter, so we can remove the unwanted frequency, right? Then we will apply inverse Fourier transform to return it to its original time domain form. Okay. So that's for our Fourier transform. I'll go back to the presentation. So that's just an overview of what a Fourier transform is all about. Okay. Then we have the fast Fourier transform. So this is just a more efficient form of Fourier transform. And then we have convolution. Convolution is the modification of signal. Our amplitude modulation that we've discussed earlier is an example of convolution. So we modify a signal using another signal. So that is convolution. Modulation is a form of convolution. Next, digital filters. Okay, so this is one of the biggest topics on our course. So digital filters. So we have low pass filters, high pass filters, band pass filters, band stop filters. Okay, so what is this just simply trying to say is that we can filter out unwanted frequencies on a signal. I'll go back to the Jamboard. This stage, this red one that I've introduced in here, this is an example of a filter. Okay, where we remove unwanted frequencies. Okay, I'll go back to the presentation. So when we say low pass filter, we let low frequencies pass, right? And then we cut the higher frequencies. This is usually used for let's proceed. High pass filters will let higher frequencies pass, and then we remove lower frequencies. For band pass filters, okay, we let a certain band or a certain range of frequency pass through our filter. I'll remove this one, this following. If you want to screenshot, so please do. I'll give you 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. So for our filters, okay, again, this is the speaking voice. Usually we have low frequency noise on our speaking voice. So the low frequency. Usually this low frequency noise is 60 Hertz. Do you have an idea what is 60 Hertz and why is it a very annoying noise on our signals? Okay. So 60 Hertz actually is the frequency of our AC power. Remember, here in the Philippines, we are using 220 volts, 60 Hertz power. Okay, so on all of the equipments, there will always a 60 Hertz vibration. It's because it's coming from our AC power. Okay, it's affecting all of our equipments, appliances, gadgets. There will always be 60 Hertz noise. Okay. It's the static sound that you usually hear in speaking over the phone or over any devices. Okay. Aside from that, We also have higher frequencies, frequency noises, like high pitch voices or high pitch sounds from the background when you are talking over the phone or something. Okay, so what filters do is if you have a low pass filter, so all of those high frequency noises will be removed. Only the low frequency will be retained. If you have high pass filter, usually they are used to remove the 60 hertz noise. So if you apply a high pass filter to this one, you let a higher frequencies stay, and then you remove the lower frequencies. So usually it is set to 60 hertz to remove the 60 hertz noise. Okay. So when you remove the 60 hertz noise, this will be a signal. Okay. But in usually what is really being used is the band pass filter. Okay. So when you say band pass filter, you let a certain range, for example. So since the speaking voice of human is 2 kilohertz, usually any frequency above 2 kilohertz is being filtered, or not even 2 kilohertz. I think we can only hear 1 kilohertz on 1 kilohertz on our devices. Usually we filter out 1 kilohertz and higher. Okay, and then since we are filtering 60 hertz, so we cannot hear 20 hertz anymore. That's why over the phone, we can't hear really silent whispers. We need to whisper louder. Okay. We use 100 hertz. Okay. So this is an example of a bandpass filter on voice communication. So we let 1 kilohertz to 100 hertz pass through our audio device. Above 1 kilohertz, not allowed. Lower than 100 hertz, not allowed. Okay, because these are considered noises. Okay. Anyway, so that's it. I think I explained too much. So I'll go back to the presentation. So if a filter is linear and time invariant, so we will discuss this later in our further later topics. Okay. Then we have this video again, introduction to signal processing. By the way, this can be found on our LMS on the introduction part. So we will play this later if we have more time.